Well, I'm very delighted to spend the next couple hours with Eric Schumacher. I, Eric and I are just getting to know one another, but he's a person I hope becomes a lifelong friend. And we're going to talk specifically about a book that Eric has written called Ours. It's a biblical comfort for men who are grieving miscarriage. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful book, and we'll get to this book. I think what you've written, Eric, is really an shining example of how the details of the gospel, the details of the life and ministry of Jesus, really do speak into not just the generalities of our lives, but the specifics of our lives. And we always like in this podcast to sort of walk people through their stories because there's so much gospel that is revealed through the journey that God leads people through. So let's go right back at the beginning. Talk to me about growing up, and I'll just walk you through your life.
Well, thank you, Paul. It's good to be here, and I've enjoyed getting to know you in Philadelphia during this trip, and
my mini tour of the city.
Yes, and your wonderful food suggestions. I am an Iowa native, born and raised in small town Iowa, and I was struck yesterday. We were recording our conversation with Elise Fitzpatrick, and she beautifully laid out how she grew up as a child filled with shame. And I was struck by how opposite our childhood and our journey was. I was born into a home with two parents that were very kind and good parents to me. And I grew up, and this is important, I think, for my miscarriage journey story. I grew up a very proud child. Some of my earliest memories that I think in my mind sort of crystallize what my mindset was and has dominated much of my life was the idea that I would find my identity and my worth in being the best at things. And so I remember on our dining room wall, and there was beneath the stairwell, and as a child, in my memory, it probably wasn't really as extensive as it seemed in my mind, but there were these plaques on the wall that were from recognition that my father had received for leading a service club or these sorts of things. And I remember looking up at those and being proud of who my father was and what he had done, and that people had recognized him. And he never put any pressure on me to find identity in what I achieved or accomplished at all. But I remember thinking, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be a man that has a lot of plaques on the wall. And I remember a day in kindergarten where we had these sheets of paper on the wall. And this was around the time that the movie E.T. had come out. And so they were of E.T.'s spaceship. And there were stickers for how much we'd done of something. And I remember surveying our classroom in our small school, small town of 1,000 people, and I had the most stickers on there, and feeling like, wow, I was the best at this.
Let me ask, what was the spiritual condition of your family?
Yeah, so we attended a conservative Lutheran church every Sunday. I was often the only child in my Sunday school class because there weren't many kids in my grade, my age, that were part of the Lutheran church. There was a lot of Catholics. And it was the sort of home where if I was spending the night at a friend's house on Saturday night, my parents would be out front on Sunday morning to pick me up while my friends slept in. I would need to get up and go to church.